Rutgers coming in, how much different are they than what they used to do, after what they've been through in the coaching change?
Well, just on the court, Rutgers is a totally different team. Sometimes there's a coaching change. The players are the same, and the team's not that much different. But Rutgers went night and day on the court. From a team that would try to grind you to death and win 52-50, and you wondered if they ever were going to shoot it before the shot clock ran out. To now, I don't think they need a shot clock.
Yeah, they average in the 70s, right?
Yes, and they take the first open shot that they can get off is the best way to describe it. So a lot more possessions in their games. They're a much better shooting team than they've been in the past. So they're just dangerous in a different way. You used to worry about how are we ever going to score against this team. I mean, it was impossible to ever get a point in the paint against them. To now, you're worried about we got to guard these guys because they got so many guys can make threes, and they got weapons all over the place. And they still got big, strong athletes and highly rated guys that when they were recruited. They're an extremely dangerous team. 7 of their last 8 games have been decided by 6 points or less. Some of those wins, some of those losses. The only other game they blew out Greensboro. So they've been in an unbelievable amount of close games.
And played Louisville tough, I guess.
6 or 7.
Yeah. Is it something where you have to keep your guys from getting caught up in that and not turn it into
our biggest problem, besides the size of your head blocking the camera.
Shoulder.
I figured head would sound better if anybody ever wanted to play
Same
thing. The biggest thing you got to make sure that you take one game at a time. And right now for us, Rutgers is all that matters. We had to put the Memphis game in the past and focus on Houston. We can't get ahead of ourselves. People say, "Oh, you're in first place." And there's 3 games in. It's like saying that you're even par after 2 holes. How many times have you finished even par? Yeah, we got 15 holes left. So a lot of ball to be played. And we got to just make sure that we're focusing on trying to get better in practice today, have a great game tomorrow. And that right now, for me, is the biggest challenge for my team mentally. Is keeping them focused on what we're trying to do right now and not let them get ahead of themselves.
But you'd rather be 3-0 in first place.
Oh, yeah. Well, great philosopher once said, rather win than lose.
Right.
Miles Mack, it seems like this is a style that fits him a lot better.
Well, I think most players would tell you if they could shoot it whenever they want, the style would fit them perfectly. But I don't know. I just know that they're just doing it a little bit different than they were in the past. They're shooting the ball a lot quicker, much more higher scoring team. That being said, they're still dangerous, and they're very big and athletic. So, Wally Judge is a big, strong guy. Lewis off the bench, and obviously we're thin. With Jermaine Lawrence out, we're at 9 scholarship players, so we can't get beat up on the front line. That's a concern.
Would you zone these guys at all, though, given what they do? And would you? And do you do that when David's in the game? I guess is that.
Trying to stay being a nice guy to you and not go Bill Belichick on you. We'll try to do what we got to do to win the game. And a lot of that too.
But I've seen a little more zone here lately.
It depends. I think the fallacy of zone is that you don't play hard. I think it's harder to play zone. And the other thing would be you can't defend a 3-point line in the zone. I think sometimes it's easier to defend a 3 in the zone.
Coach,
it all depends.
you guys didn't get a lot of respect preseason. Do you think that changes at all? Even though you're only 3-0 in conference, you talk about when you see SMU take down UConn, when you see Memphis take down Louisville, is that respect factor starting to build for you guys?
I don't know, and I really hope that my team doesn't care because there's so much ball to be played in our sport. I think that it's all about getting the highest seed you can. So you can getting in the tournament, getting the highest seed you can. because I think respect in college basketball is earned in the NCAA tournament. Whether that's right, wrong, or indifferent, that's my opinion on it. We try. It's what we would like to build towards at the end of the year. So you're not going to hear me talking about, I wish we were ranked or whatever. The only really thing that would concern me would be the RPI, because I think that would have the closest thing to indicate where you're at as far as what you're trying to accomplish for the NCAA tournament bid. But it's way too early to talk about all that stuff. And then we don't sit around talking about that. Although I'm sure the players would appreciate it if they were talked about more and that type of stuff. It'd be human nature. For me, it's all about recruiting. So, the more our highlights would be on ESPN, the happier I would be.
You have to be happy, though, with the way this team's responded, given what, when you lost the 2 games, and maybe they were doing some things you didn't like, your players, or showing what you wanted to see as far as toughness and all that. I think they've responded well, don't you?
Oh, no, I think it's all part of it. You're not going to go undefeated. And you go through patches in the season, especially early. You got to play a schedule that's going to maybe expose you a little bit. A few teams that can expose you and put you in some situations where you got to look in the mirror and figure out, okay, what do we got to do to get better? Because sometimes you can live in a fantasy land. Although I think we've played as good a schedule in non-league as anybody at our level does, but I think that we definitely improved from our losses. I think that's a big thing in college basketball. You've got to be able to improve as the year goes on, and you can't let losses tear you apart. You got to come together when you lose and become a better team. And I give my players all the credit for that. This in college basketball, the coach doesn't change that much. What changes are the players. And I've said it. We got guys that want to win on this team. We got leadership. Our seniors really care about winning, which makes my job a lot easier. I can just try to tell these guys what we have to do to win. They want to win, so that's why we're such a good defensive team. They're willing to do it.
With you mentioned Jermaine. How long do you think he's going to be out? Is there any timetable at all for this injury?
No, that's the problem with turf toe, sprain toe, whatever you want to call it. No timetable. Whenever he's healthy, whenever he can put pressure on it, but I'm not really expecting it anytime soon, to be honest with you, because right now he's still in pain.
Wow.
Is what G's going through similar to what Cash went through last year?
No.
Shoulder? No.
Cashmere Wright played the entire season last year with a shredded labrum. G. structurally has no issues.
Will he play?
Cashmere Wright should not have been playing last year, but it was his choice. It was his last year. Nothing was going to stop him from getting on the court.
G will play.
I hope so. We still got practice today. Although I'm trying to limit that as much as I can. It's got to get him to the game healthy.
Good deal.
All right, guys.
Coach.